It's 3 a.m., and your lead external developer has just executed a command to clone your proprietary backend, siphoning it completely off-site. In a matter of seconds, years of hard work, your core business logic, your API architecture, and unreleased UI designs are sitting entirely outside your controlled environment. Firewalls, encryption, and complex password rotations failed to stop the transfer. Because this developer required legitimate access to do their job, your technical defenses effectively left the door open for them. At this stage, the contractor non-disclosure agreement functions as the final legal tripwire between your proprietary data and total public exposure. Without a structured contract in place prior to granting system access, an authorized user can walk away with your data without facing immediate legal recourse. To build a defense, a judge needs to know exactly what was taken.
A court cannot protect an asset that you fail to define, which is why the definition of confidential information clause is the anchor of the entire document. This diagram maps out a strict legal perimeter. To make the contract work, you have to explicitly pull specific digital assets, like your source code, algorithms, and API keys, into this protected zone. Once inside, the obligations clause acts as the gatekeeper. Vector lines physically block the protected data from being moved into external zones marked for public release or competitors. The contractor is legally forbidden from reverse engineering the data or sharing it. The contractor agreed to a narrow scope of work. When we compare that permitted pathway to the reality of an entire back-end database clone, the baseline for a massive, unauthorized breach becomes obvious. There are strict limits to what you can claim. Under the exclusions loophole, any information that is already public or code the contractor developed entirely independently must remain grayed out and outside your legal protection. Drawing this exact, rigorous perimeter is the single factor that determines whether a judge will enforce your defense or throw the case out entirely. An NDA is not a software license and possesses no technical mechanism to stop a file from being copied. The remedies section dictates the consequences of a breach. This flowchart outlines 3 retaliatory pathways: civil lawsuits, financial damages, and injunctions. Looking closer at the injunctions pathway, we see the ultimate emergency brake. If your contractor tries deploying stolen logic into a rival app, a heavy visual barrier drops. A judge grants an immediate, legally binding order stopping them from using or selling your work. But this legal weapon has a glaring vulnerability. If you write an NDA that covers too much ground, the contract fractures. Attempting to ban a developer from utilizing their general programming skills or demanding they can never work in your industry again will shatter the agreement. Courts view these overly broad restrictions as unfair, rendering the entire document legally unenforceable. Your agreement must be surgical. If you bloat it with unreasonable demands, you effectively disarm your only method of retaliation at the exact moment you need it most. To guarantee this retaliatory system fires correctly during a crisis, the foundational setup must be flawless. That means explicitly defining jurisdiction and governing law, ensuring you aren't forced to fight a rogue contractor in a foreign legal system. The NDA badge is another common misunderstanding. On the left of this split screen, a confidential watermark pasted on a generic public web page provides no protection. These agreements only bind individuals who have signed a contract, like the secure portal on the right. You also have to secure the intellectual property clause. It must explicitly dictate that your business retains 100% ownership of every piece of code, design, and logic created during the engagement. When the project wraps up, the risk remains. The return or deletion clause ensures the contractor is legally obligated to permanently purge your sensitive files from their local machines the moment the work is completed. Validating a signature in court requires proof, which is why the final document needs to live in a secure, version-controlled repository with verifiable audit logs rather than sitting on an unprotected desktop. Sharing proprietary logic without this legal architecture allows a contractor to retain and use your work without facing legal penalty.